Come in, Miss Roper, won't you? Sit down. Now, you used to be a dressmaker.
Yes, I was, till I lost the use of my hands. Look at 'em. Bundles of carrots at first, you'd call them. Bundles of potatoes now, more like.
How long is it since you were able to sew?
6 years now. I sold my machine. A treadle were a beauty.
And since then you've done...
Charring, scrubbing, whenever I could get it. Many's the time I've done your office, Mr. Drew, and not before it needed it. You'd be surprised the amount of muck folk get on their feet. Just like you'd never believe the muck and grease they get on their clothes till you start remodelling.
And recently you've not been able even to do much cleaning.
No! Look at 'em! Look up me hands! No, look at me knees! Now, would you like to kneel on 'em and scrub a step?
No, indeed not.
Don't you think you'd be happier in an institution, Miss Roper? We've got those nice new buildings in South Street, and you'd have proper medical attention. No worry.
I dare say I should, but I do quite nicely with Mrs. Snag. All I want is a bit towards me rent and something to live on, and I can manage till I get my old age pension.
But aren't you very lonely in that back room?
Lonely? Not me. Why, Mrs. Snag is as nice a lady as you could wish for. Reads the cards and tells as good a story as anyone in Yarrow. And there's a daughter and a grandchildren popping in and out. I keep an eye on the young uns for her when she needs it. And then there's the whist drives. I always go when I can get someone to buy me a ticket. I'm very lucky at cards, you've no idea. And then there's my gentleman friend, Mr. Barnes.
Mr. Barnes?
Not no Ricky Barnes from New Biggin, the carrier. Oh, everybody knows Ricky. He goes round Cold Harbour and Pandy Creek way in a covered cart with an old piebald horse. Many's the time he calls for me and I ride with him. We've been keeping company now for nigh on 30 years.
Then why don't you marry him? He's a widower, isn't he, with a cottage of his own?
Yes, but you see, it's this way. He promised his dear wife, Mary Ellen Barnes, a nice a woman as ever walked shoe leather, that he'd never marry again if she were taken from him. So he can't, can he?
But really,
Oh,
Miss Roper...
I can understand your thoughts. And I don't say that Ricky wouldn't help me. But I'm a primitive and a Christian, and I don't believe in ladies taking presents from their gentlemen friends. Do you now? I know all about these modern compassionate marriage you read about in the papers. Maybe all right for some, but I've always paid my own way and been self-respecting. So if you can see your way clear to giving me rent and a bag of flour, a grocery order, and perhaps a bag of coal to see me through winter, I shall do quite nicely and no trouble to anyone.
Has any other member of the committee any questions? No? Oh, thank you, Miss Roper. That's all for now.
Good day to you all. And cheerio, I'm sure.
Well,
I never believe in these submissions to a dead hand.
perhaps not, but dash it all, we can hardly ask the woman to live in sin just to save the ratepayers' pockets, can we?
I should say not. We can't encourage that kind of thing. There's too much of it about already.
Quite. Had you anything in mind, Thompson?
Well, I thought 8 shillings a week and a grocery order.
Any other comments? No? Right, record that, Thompson, will you?
Sorry, Whitelaw.
Next case, Fred Mitchell.
Your agent for Diamond Assurance Company.
Thank you kindly. I knew they'd see reason. That'll do me nicely. Good day to you, Mr. Thompson. And thank Mrs. Beddoes and the gentleman for me, won't you?
I'll do that, Miss Roper.
Don't you worry, young man. They're only human like you and me. And not past falling on bad times as hell, I shouldn't wonder.
Well, I think we're ready to see Mitchell now, Thompson.
Just a moment. I've just noticed this order you've made for John Henry Robinson. Now, surely this amount of 13 shillings and sixpence cash is excessive. After all, if he has a grocery order and coal...
But this man has a wife and 3 dependent children. They must have boots, bedding and adequate clothing.
Yes, but it brings his income up to 29 shillings a week. Now, I've got good men doing a full week's work for 30.
All the more shame. I think we ought to give him more cash, and not grocery orders.
Well, how can we be sure cash grants are spent on essentials? If they're away, I'd be for cutting them out altogether.
Yeah.
I saw a man last week, a man I know full well to be on assistance, coming out of a public house in Kiplington in broad daylight. In broad daylight, mind you. You can't put up with ratepayers' money being spent on drink.
How do you know it wasn't the first half pint he'd had in months?
Well, I don't care if it's the 1st or the 21st. Man's duties to his family, not to his own self-indulgence.
When a man comes to us, he has already buried his self-respect, and we make sure it's buried even further by not trusting him to keep his own house in order.
Some of them had kept their own house in order before. They perhaps needn't come to us.
Oh, yes, let's work from the assumption that poverty is something that people bring on themselves rather than the result of the rotten society we live in.
Now, come now, Astley, you're going too far.
Believe me, Chairman, I'm not going nearly far enough.
Well, it'll do for now. The order stands. Next case.
Mr. Mitchell?
Come in, Mr. Mitchell. Take a seat, won't you? Now, you were with the Diamond Insurance Company, were you not? Mr. Mitchell?
Oh, sorry, sir. I beg your pardon.
I said you were with the Diamond Insurance Company, were you not?
I had a book, sir.
Speak up, Mr. Mitchell, so the committee can hear you.
I had a book, sir.
But you haven't got it now.
No. District office gave me a month to get the round into shape. I did try, but it was no use. People just haven't any money for insurance.
So the company let you go.
I had hoped they might take me on in the office. Well, at least my wife hoped so, but it seems they're cutting down there as well. I had 2 clerks and a boy under me in my last job, but the bottom fell out of the European coal market.
Go on, Mr. Mitchell.
We had this lovely house in Kingsport, but we couldn't keep up the payments then. So we sold most of our stuff, and I found this place in Maythorpe, Bella Vista, we call it. Well, that's what we call it, but really, you know, it's only a hut.
Did you manage to save anything from your previous job, Mr. Mitchell?
Oh, a bit, sir, but with a wife and kiddie and not having been married long and trying to build a home.
And now you're destitute.
It's just not what we're used to, sir. I mean, it isn't right that my wife should have to come to living in a place like that, her and the little girl. Now she's expecting again, and we've just got nothing, no? Oh, God, I never thought I'd live to see the day when I'd have to come to a place like this, begging, like, come.
You know, Mitchell, it's a hell of a feeling asking for money, but it can't be as bad for you as it was for the chap I met last week who went to Harrogate to borrow 100 quid off his younger brother.
And did he get it?
No. Before he could ask, his brother touched him for 50, so he went home, sold some furniture, and lent it.
Well, anyway, we shan't try to borrow from you, Mr. Mitchell. Not at the moment, anyway. Well, thank you, Mr. Mitchell, if you wouldn't mind waiting outside.